What's going on, everyone? Happy Friday to everyone. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe, staying healthy. If you had to take a COVID test this week, hopefully you have tested negative. But if you did test positive during this time of a rising cases, hopefully you have a full and speedy recovery with no long COVID issues. It's time now for the Friday edition of the Pandemic Update for Friday, August 4th, 2023. We do have just a few news stories to share with you today. Then we do have some updated data from the CDC, which includes the variant proportion update. And yes, there's a new dominating variant this week, so you'll want to stay tuned for that. And on a personal note, I do have some good news for you. I'm actually feeling a lot better today. That long COVID issue that I've been dealing with, yes, it's finally subsided. It's on the back end. I would say 95% better. Did not actually have to take a COVID test because, again, I'm feeling fine. Some people are going to probably say, oh, you should have tested. Anything can be COVID. Trust me, I know about that. I report on stuff like that. And maybe I still will, just so we can have a little show and tell tomorrow that shows me being negative. Hopefully it would be negative. Hopefully I'm not asymptomatic. But again, anywho, yeah, I'm feeling a lot better. I think you can hear it in my voice. Don't I sound happier today? I feel happier today. So let's get the ball rolling here. India logs another 54 cases. Their active case count is at 1,532. And then coming down here to their deaths, they stayed the same as well. 531,918 deaths. Now these next two stories is two local news stations. Not here, but just, you know how you have your local NBC affiliate or your local CBS affiliate. Well, that's two of those from around the country. There is an interesting trend in the media, and that trend is that more stations are starting to report on COVID again, or at least making mention of it after going months without hearing anything in relation to COVID. So this is some good news, but it makes me wonder, why all of a sudden are they so interested in it again? Do they have personnel within that are starting to test positive, and maybe they're doing a deeper dive? Do they know people who are positive, or is it just simply because the CDC is now reporting on the rise? I think it's a mix of everything, to be honest with you, but Arkansas is saying that they're seeing a rise in COVID cases, and there's an affiliate for NBC out of North Carolina that's saying they're seeing a summer surge as well. And as far as I'm concerned, it is a summer surge. I saw a certain someone on Twitter today say, well, it's not proper to call it a summer surge. I think you know who I'm talking about. If not, I won't say the name. I'll give you the initials. BW. Yes, I think you know who I'm talking about. A certain someone from California is saying it's not proper to call it a surge because, well, you know, this is nothing compared to the other waves we saw. Okay, but the wave is still rising. And do we know what's going to happen for the rest of the year? It could do what it did last year, where it went up, then it leveled off, dropped ever so slightly, then went up higher, leveled off, dropped ever so slightly. You know, I think we're headed back to that regimen, but we'll just have to see. No one knows what's about to happen. All right, moving on now. We have to take a look at air quality because it's important. Air quality impacts our health. Those who have breathing issues with asthma, COPD, you name it. Air quality is an important part of your life, and you need to know that information. And as you can see here with the air qualities, it's kind of poor in the Northeast. Now, there's a system coming through the Northeast. Saturday is going to be a nice day in the Northeast. The humidity is going to be down, but there are going to be a few smoke particles in the atmosphere, and we do have to watch some of this poor air quality over the Great Lakes that is pushing eastward and southeast. Now, this is nothing like what we saw back in early July and back in June, but again, it's nothing to sneeze at. It is something to be mindful of, and if you're in the Pacific Northwest, specifically in portions of Washington and Montana and Idaho, there's some really poor air qualities there. You need to be mindful. If you have asthma and COPD, if you have to go anywhere, keep your inhalers, oxygen at the ready, and if need be, just wear a mask anywhere you go because air quality there is particularly poor. I'm seeing some purples. There's one site that says 217. If you want to know more about the weather and climate, I do have another channel where I talk about just that, and that is at Climate Data Report. I do a daily weather forecast there every day, and eventually I'm going to discuss more in climate. I'm going to include more climate data from around the world. We just haven't gotten to doing that. Right now we're just doing the weather forecast, but you know what? The extremes that we talk about in the forecast, that has to do with climate change. Places that are going from extremely dry to floods. Hey, today we talked about floods. There are several areas dealing with extreme flooding today. So, yep, that's my other channel, at Climate Data Report. All right, Walgreens this week. We know that the positivity around the country did rise this week, and we know that it's 42%. It was 38.8% last week. It was up 3.2% this week. Any state in red is rising, so look for your state here. Any state in green is dropping at this time. And of course, the white states, well, they didn't report at all. And these lighter shades of red, like almost like a pink, they're just having an ever so slight rise. All right, let's take a look at wastewater. Wastewater, all the regions around the country, it's rising. There's this site down in the south, or this region in the southeast. It's flat. That's probably just noise. It probably really is still actually rising at this time. And let's take a look at the updated count for the wastewater sites. And I really don't want to have to show you this. Eventually it will come up. Here we go. But for wastewater sites, moving myself to the left so you can see this. 106 new sites, 378 lowest level sites, that's 0 through 19. That actually dropped by 20%. That's not a number we don't want to see drop. 20 to 39%, there's 482 sites there, that dropped by 1%. 40 to 59%, that's 290 sites. 60 to 79%, that's 97 sites. And in the red, 80 to 100%, that's 11 sites. So the orange and red, it's not looking too good for those two categories. And I can just tell you right now, look at the Mid-Atlantic region. There's a lot of orange sites now. We will do a deeper dive into this and dissect a lot of sites on Sunday. That will be the next wastewater update video. Moving on now, we do have to take a look at emergency department visits because this is important. I'm going to refresh this so we get the most accurate data. And what I want to show you is the percent change of emergency department visits. Haha, look at this. Look at all these orange sites. You don't see any greenish blue colors on here. You just see one, Rhode Island. The rest are either stable, did not report, moderately rising, or substantially rising. And this dark orange is substantial increase. Yes, there's a lot of states now, my friends, that are seeing substantial increases in emergency department visits, admissions. They're going up. So this surge that we're seeing, it's just not happening in the Northeast. It's just not happening in Los Angeles or Portland, Oregon, or Miami, Florida, Dallas, Texas. This is a surge that is now occurring across almost the entire United States. And a lot of these stable areas, and some of them I should say, were dropping just last week. So even like Maine was dropping last week. Maine's now rising. Take a look at this. Vermont, a moderate rise. New Hampshire was dropping last week, and it's now having a substantial rise. So that is a dramatic turnaround. It's not something we'd like to see. There's still 3, or I should say 4 states, if you include Puerto Rico, that are not reporting. Again, a large number of states are now substantially rising. I would say it's probably north of 20 states now. So that's not good to see. Alrighty, this day in COVID history. On August 4th of 2020, a study finds that more than 50% of all people living in rural areas in the U.S. have no intensive care unit ICU beds available. Only 3% of communities with higher incomes had no ICU beds. High rates of COVID-19 infections, chronic health conditions, limited testing, and inadequate access to health care could all lead to significant COVID-19 mortality among people living in rural communities. And to this day, as far as I know, the highest death rates, I believe, are in rural communities. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that is a true statistic. Alrighty, folks, drum roll please. It is now time for this week's variant proportion update for Friday, August 4th. And as stated, we do have a new dominating variant on the national level. EG.5, my friends, is now the leading variant in the United States at 17.3%. XBB.1.16 got overtaken by it. That's at 15.6%. XBB 2.3 is at 11.2%. XBB 1.5 is at 10.3%. FL 1.5.1, it's now showing up at 8.6%. XBB 116.6 is at 7.7%. XBB 1.16.1 is at 7.2%. XBB 191 is at 5.4%. XBB 192 is at 4.8%. The old original XBB is at 4.4%. And then you have a whole bunch others underneath here. We do want to take a look at a couple other regions. Let's look at Region 1, which is Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, is essentially northern New England. And look at that. How funny is that? The CDC data is not working like it's supposed to. Can we at least get Region 2? If not, that's okay. We'll get it at some point. I mean, this is the CDC. They don't care about data quality anymore. Okay, here we go. This I wanted to show you because I did see this earlier. In Region 2, which includes New Jersey, New York, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. I did not have this on my bingo card. A lot of people like to use the expression bingo card during the pandemic in the COVID cautious community, and this is a great time for me to use it. I did not have the FL 1.5.1 variant becoming the dominating variant in the region, which would also include New York. But what's interesting with this is, while this is including New York, it also includes Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. So is it because of what's going on in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, or what's going on in New York and New Jersey? And honestly, I don't have the answer to that, but it's pretty far ahead. It's at 20.7%. EG.5 is at 16%. And then there's your XBB 116 at 11.5%. So, yeah, this FL 1.5.1, we'll have to keep an eye on it. Could that potentially, on the national level, overtake EG.5? I don't know, but let's just do a couple more regions because it's very important that we take a look at this data. And you may see some regions, here we go again, where it's not updating correctly. That's just the state of the CDC right now. I mean, we have a new CDC director that's going to these large maskless gatherings. So, I mean, would you expect the data to be perfect? No. You go down to Region 4, it's at 15.6% for EG.5. Let's go down to Region 5, and you'll see in Region 5, no, we won't see Region 5. Will we see a Region 6? Let's just keep going down here. Nope, we won't see Region 6. How about Region 7? Hopefully we see Region 7. That's our wild card region, the one that has always the random variant in the lead, or at a higher number than other regions. So we're not going to see Region 7 either. How about Region 8? No. Okay, but you get the point now. Nationally, EG.5 is in the lead. And repeating again, in Region 2, that FL 1.51 variant up in Region 2, which includes New York, that is in the lead. So the combination of EG.5 and FL 1.51, that is the reason why we're seeing such a rise in New York right now. Now let's take a look at a few of those wastewater sites around the country that report on other things besides COVID. They include COVID, but they also report on other things. And I can report to you today that in upstate New York, we're not going to show it because it just started, up in Oswego, New York, there is a brand new site on the map. How do I know it's new? Because I clicked on it earlier today and I said, they just started plotting data for the first time. So it's a new site. How about we take a look at Maine? It's important that we look at the vacation areas. Historically, the first weekend in August is one of the busiest of the entire summer for going away. A lot of people go away this weekend to the beaches, to the shore points. We call them shore points down here. Beaches for everyone else. Up in Maine, this is one of your biggest weekends of the year. So if you happen to be heading to any of these areas, here's what you can expect. SARS-CoV-2. It's on the rise in Portland, Maine. Influenza. It's flat at this time. And then continuing down, we can see that RSV is not an issue. HMPV is not an issue. Mpox not being detected. Norovirus is also not being detected at this time. All right, continuing on. I was going to do another site, but it is clear that there's an issue with that website as well. Sometimes that website freezes up on me. You might have seen it pop up on my screen. I don't know what that issue is, but I do want to show you something from Hubbub World. And we showed this yesterday. It's worth showing again. Florida. Just extremely concerning. But I do want to show you another area. We were just talking about Maine, right? Well, let's go see what's going on with COVID up in Maine. Not doing too bad. Flu, not bad. As you know, it's not being detected in wastewater. RSV, not bad. Influenza, not bad. But now let's come down here to New Jersey and look at the shore points. It's relatively low at this time. There's some moderate to high levels up closer to Sandy Hook, Toms River, Asbury Park, the land of Bruce Springsteen. And now let's come up here to Connecticut. Connecticut is another area where we are going to see people come up for the weekend, more so northeast Connecticut. And look at this. You can see here, influenza-like illness. Not doing too bad. How about COVID? And COVID is highest closer to New York City. Let's do one more. Let's go down to Massachusetts, a place like Cape Cod. And COVID, it's low on Cape Cod right now. Flu, it's low there. RSV, not an issue. And influenza, there is, within a 5-minute walk, you'll find yourself with 3 contagious people. Alrighty, moving on. Just wanted to show a few of the places that could potentially be crowded this weekend. I'm sure there's a lot of other places across the country that I'm missing. Sorry if I don't mention them all. Hospitalizations in New Jersey. 244 people are in the hospital. 69 out of 70 hospitals are reporting. 6 people are on a ventilator. And in the ICU, there's 20 people in the ICU. And discharges at this time. 41 people discharged. That's quite a few. But the fact that 41 people were discharged and hospitalizations are now at 244, the turnover rate, the volume of patients, it's getting higher right now because we are in a wave. All right, Philadelphia today reported 755 EMS incidents. Let's do a live looking at the burbs. Whoa, I'm seeing a lot of incidents in Montgomery County right now. 14, we've seen higher. But again, respiratory emergency, cardiac emergency, another respiratory emergency. There's some vehicle accidents mixed in. It's Friday afternoon. A lot of people on the roads. Taking a look here in Chester County, Pennsylvania, which again, suburb of Philadelphia. Heart problems, sickle, respiratory difficulty. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of different things here. And now for New York State. I'm going to move myself back to the right. And unfortunately, New York State has over 1,200 cases today, 1,237. Test positivity is at 11.8%, and the 7-day average is now at 10.7%. So that is not good to see that rising at all. And when we take a look at New York State, first off, let's look at Long Island. Long Island did not rise anymore this week. However, statewide, New York State did rise this week. And you can see that here. I'm going to zoom it back in. You can see that statewide, compared to last week, though today may be a tad lower, which it is, 648 in the hospital, 61 in the ICU, it's higher than any given point from last week. So we'll have to watch what happens as we head into next week. Will it rise again? Will it not rise anymore? Only time will tell. But the point is, same thing with New York City. It's higher than any given point from last week. All right, taking a look at Puerto Rico today. The latest update was on August 3rd, so 834 new cases, 157 people in the hospital, 13 people in the ICU. See, and it says here, I think this is wrong. Yep, this is definitely wrong. We're not even going to read that. 61,000 deaths. And then before it said 6,000 deaths. Don't know why they would suddenly add 55,000 deaths, so we're just going to call that bogus until we can find out just what that's all about. Again, this website, Madriva, it's not always the most accurate website. I don't trust this website too much, but sometimes when you're down to the bare minimum in terms of data, you have to take a look at it. Alrighty, now time for the international update. We're just going to do a brief one today, but I do want to point something out. First off, around the world, cases are down 41%, deaths are down 42%. I wanted to show you Germany on here, but for some reason, I cannot find Germany. But Europe in general is what I want to show you. Europe, cases are down 18%, deaths are down 22%. But that can be very deceiving. Italy, for example, cases up 40%, deaths are up 64%. Romania, cases up 15%, deaths are up 33%. Belgium, cases up 82%, deaths not reported. Switzerland, cases up 11%. Bulgaria, cases up 9%. Norway, cases up 32%. Denmark, cases up 84%, but some places are dropping. Finland's down 64%. Poland, cases are up 6%. And you can see here, there are a few places like Slovenia, where cases are down 26%. And the UK, for some reason, down 100%. So that would significantly flaw the numbers. Because look at this, they did not report this week. So that 100% decrease from the UK, yes, that would be why it's showing up as down. Because overall, in my opinion, it's up this week over in Europe. Alrighty, folks, that does it for today's pandemic update. My final message for you today is we're going into the weekend. We're going into what is historically one of the biggest getaway weekends of the year. Hopefully that's not one of you. Hopefully you're not fighting with the crowds this weekend in the vacation towns, the beach towns, the places, up in the mountainous regions, the lakes and all that. Hopefully you're staying safe at home. We're in a wave right now. So, please limit your risky activity this weekend. I don't want to have another update again tomorrow and then next week where you put me in the comment sections, we just tested positive for COVID. No, I want you to stay safe. And my goal here is to try and keep you all safe. We'll have another pandemic update again tomorrow and then the wastewater update on Sunday. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel down below. If you know anyone that needs a reminder that the pandemic is not over, share this with them. I will see you all again next time. But until I see you again next time, stay safe, everyone, and have a great weekend.